The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. We are live to tape on September 2nd, 2022, episode number 530. Today, mini Satans. Not many, mini, like tiny little Satans. Basil is not here. My name is Gonz. You're Asian. You're Asian. I am Asian, but, you know, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live from California, here to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events and today's emergent phenomena. It's technical. It's all technical. Everything is very technical, both technological and, you know, like theological, but then you look at the history of man and the Bible, and you look around today, and it's technical. But real quick, just a rundown on what we're going to be talking about today. All right, we're going to kick it off with some Cube Mars oxygen news. Yeah. There you go. We have a Flippy update from also the alleged beyond the firmament there. We are going to dive into a Nephilim update fairly early here. A Days of Noah and a Nephilim update together at the top of the show. It's a little more, face like the sun flavoring today. But also, we'll touch on some transhuman stuff. Transhumanism really going mainstream here, and just talking about the ideas that we've been pushing. Not ideas that we've been pushing per se, just, we've been talking about, warning about for a long time, and it's just really mainstream now. We're going to also talk a little bit about Biden and his super dystopian looking speech, and as well as other fun politics with Boris. What's Boris doing breaking into people's houses? I don't know, but we'll talk about it. We're also going to discuss the space pope reptilian calling World War III. We're going to do China. There's a little tension there with Taiwan, some stuff going down. We'll touch a little bit on Trump, just briefly though, nothing too crazy. And also Antarctica and AI. all coming together. It's all coming together. But to kick things off today, we are going to start with the story about what I think is a giant PSYOP.
PSYOPs.
All right. Vice.com. Headline here. Small device currently on Mars is generating as much oxygen as a tree, scientists reveal. Now, I know there's a lot of people listening, watching who are more of the skeptical type about the moon landing and things of that nature. I tend to be of that mind and just asking questions, just not believing everything we've been told about all of space and everything else. I am not a scientist. I'm not a physicist. I'm not a cosmologist. I only understand it in layman's level, but there are certain things that just don't add up, especially with NASA losing the technology to get to the moon. I mean, it doesn't make much sense. There was also the video a few years ago that got passed around in the alt sort of fringy space where there's like a guy, I think it was like an official NASA video where he's like, oh, we got to figure out how to get through the Van Allen belt because, there's a lot of radiation there. And we got to figure out how to get through it. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I thought you guys figured that out in 1967 or something and then went to the moon in 1969. So a lot of just questions. Just take all this with a grain of salt. Again, the thing that we do here on Canary Cry News Talk is not just read the news and tell you what's happening in the news. It's to teach or just at least think critically about what's being presented in mainstream news. So, again, Vice. Small device currently on Mars is generating as much oxygen as a tree, scientists reveal. And here's what the article says. If you thought packing a car for a cross-country move was hard, packing a space shuttle for a move to Mars will be a new kind of headache. In addition to bringing items like food and water, spaceships heading to the Red Planet will also need to bring scientific experiments, emergency supplies, and living habitats. Luckily for these pioneering astronauts, though, it looks like one of the heaviest and most important resources will be provided on site: oxygen. In fact, a lunchbox-sized device currently on the surface of Mars is already reliably generating as much oxygen as a tree, scientists revealed on Wednesday. Oxygen will be important not only to provide astronauts breathable air when they're off-planet. Yeah, it's kind of important. If you're allegedly on another planet, oxygen will be important. See, this is where I start thinking, like, where are these people, humans talking? Oxygen really shall be important for you, but also to help fuel rockets to eventually take them back to Earth. In a new paper published on Wednesday in the journal Science Advances, researchers from MIT explain how a small experiment roaming Mars on the back of NASA's Perseverance rover is proof. It's proof, everybody, that it's possible to create oxygen from the Martian atmosphere. And, it gets into MOXIE, which is the name of the device. Now, I'm going to go to the full article. I had it in the text version for those of you watching. If you just go to the actual website there's a photo of MOXIE, this device that is allegedly providing the oxygen levels of a tree on Mars. And for those of you just listening, it is a cube. It's like a little golden cube with kind of, I don't know, just structures on the side. It looks kind of like a glorified, I don't know, industrial project, like somebody that wants to build something cool. It's gold colored for sure, but it's a cube. And for those of you who have been around, we've covered the cube, we've covered the Saturn connections, the biblical connections with the New Jerusalem, just all the occultism involved. There's just all these different things that are associated with the cube, both in the positive and negative sense and spiritually speaking. So I just thought, wow, okay, so they have a cube up there that's allegedly giving oxygen. Wow, that's pretty remarkable. You got the Borg, too, on Star Trek. They travel around in a giant cube. So let me continue here. There's a couple other things here talking about the experiment. This experiment is also the first to successfully harvest and use resources on any planetary body, a process that will be important not only for Martian exploration, but future lunar habitats as well. Michael Hecht is a co-author on the new paper and principal investigator of the project called MOXIE, Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment. I love how they always try to, they always have to really stretch the acronyms there. He told Motherboard in an email that researchers focused on harvesting oxygen because it would be one of the most difficult resources to bring from Earth and would have multiple roles to play in creating a sustainable habitat on Mars. Quote, I like to say rockets breathe a lot more than we do, Hecht said. Quote, just for the liftoff to orbit, the rocket will use more than 10 times the amount of fuel than the crew of 4 to 6 will use in their year-and-a-half stay on the surface, and hence it will need 10 times as much oxygen. MOXIE first landed on Mars, allegedly, in February 2021, and since then has been powered up 7 different times under different seasonal and weather conditions to create oxygen using compounds in the Martian atmosphere like CO2. This air is passed through a HEPA filter to remove any dust, heated to 800 degrees Celsius, and compressed such that it breaks apart into just oxygen ions and CO2. The oxygen ions are then isolated and recombined to create breathable and combustible O2. So far, MOXIE has been able to create 6 grams of oxygen per hour in each of its 7 runs, which researchers say is equivalent to a small tree. Let's see, what do I have? While MOXIE is proof positive that it's possible to create oxygen on another planet, the system itself is not yet robust enough to sustain a habitat on Mars. To do that, Hecht says that researchers will need to scale MOXIE up to the size of a small chest freezer. At this scale, MOXIE 2.0 could create enough oxygen to either sustain 100 crew member on Mars or lift a 4-person crew off-planet in the rocket. Scaling up the technology itself shouldn't be too challenging, said Hecht. I thought it was Hecht. Okay, a little typo there. Vice, go ahead and run your edit again. We find this all the time. Why are we just random armchair podcaster people having to point out mainstream media typos? Anyway, all right, scaling up the technology itself shouldn't be too challenging, says Hecht, but running the system autonomously on Mars for thousands of hours could be trickier, especially since the original MOXIE has so far only run for less than 100 hours since it touched down last year. Only 100 hours! So apparently this is this is enough for research to continue, and I don't know if Elon Musk is behind this particular thing, but it just appears to me that, hey, if we can get oxygen up there, then we can get anywhere. And I'm going to just connect the story here with the story we covered, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 episodes ago, maybe more, about the pigs who allegedly can absorb oxygen from their behinds, and how they're starting human trials. I just don't like where this is going, Just like, oh, you need oxygen? Well, it's too slow to absorb through your nose and your mouth, just our God-given pipes. So let's just create the artificial pipe just straight into you and go from there. So anyway, both the absurdity and the occultism here is just astounding. Yeah, and then Preston Gerard in the chat, the movie, what's the movie called? You just said it, and then it just disappeared. Total Recall. Yeah. Total Recall. That's what comes to mind, when they go out into the Martian surface and they get all huge and blow up. Yeah, maybe that wasn't from a lack of oxygen. It was from too much oxygen getting pumped into their bodies a certain way. In any case, there you go. Just something real quick at the top here. We got other stuff to get into. It's, again, all the stuff that we're talking about today is a little bit more fringy, but, this is how it goes on a Friday. By the way, I will be taking Monday off. That'll be the 5th of September, Labor Day. Doing 3 solo shows has been challenging for me, both mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So I'm going to take Monday off, and if Basil can go solo, he will, but otherwise, I'll give him the time off to recover from his trip to Burning Man. And let me just get to the thing, and then we'll get to the Burning Man stuff. It's Friday.
It's Friday. It's It's Friday, It's Friday. It's Friday,
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, there you go. We can keep playing with the Friday
It's Friday,
thing. There you go. We can keep playing with the Friday thing.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
You gonna learn today?
Cause it's Friday.
Friday.
You ain't got no job. And you ain't got
Are you not entertained?
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
That's the Friday jingle we retired at the end there. The oh yeah, but hey, Basil's not here, so we can't trigger him. So I'm going to play it. All right, thank you guys for being here today. Another episode of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 530, and a lot to cover. But again, I'm trying to go light on the politics stuff because there's just so much and there's so many different channels talking about that stuff. I've always been a little contrarian, so I'd like to pay attention to the things most people aren't. And, not that, people aren't reading these articles that we're going to cover today, but just in the context of everyone's really distracted and focused on midterms and Trump and Biden, and we'll touch on all that stuff. But, yeah, so there you go. We're going to look at some other things going on. But Basil is still at Burning Man, I believe. I did get a message, a small window of text messages that were exchanged. I believe it was yesterday afternoon, and he asked me if the recordings came through, and I said no. And then he says, rats, I just sent a few more. You can try. They don't seem to be going through. Wi-Fi is impossible. For a festival that's supposed to be visions for the future of mankind, they should really at least get a reliable Wi-Fi, especially if they want to get the message out to the rest of the world, at least on the internet. Let me see. He also said, I'm going to be trying to get Starlink up again. I messaged Starlink customer support. I don't know what happened to the guy, and that's what I asked him. I said, hey, what happened to that guy that was supposed to help you? And no response. So, that's where the transmission ended. But, hey, continue praying for his safety. I know that he wants to come home, as per the last message we heard from him. But a little disappointing about the level of connectivity out there at Black Rock Desert. And maybe Elon needs a little bit more. Maybe Elon needs more gold cubes floating around the sky to connect all of us. Because it's not working right now. At least get some internet connection to these folks out there in the desert so they can, I don't know, watch Netflix. No, I'm not. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm just saying. All right. We are value for value, which means that we do no advertising. We do not sell male enhancement products or workout gear, although it's good to work out. You should work out. Everyone should work out. You should eat good, all that stuff. But we don't sell products or sell your attention to corporations. It's not what we do here. We are completely listener supported, and it's unique in today's day and age to be a podcast that does not take any kind of corporate money, that doesn't take any kind of, or doesn't do any kind of crazy product marketing and things like that. We are listener supported, and for those who support us financially with their treasure or with their time or their talent, we call them producers, because if you contribute to a piece of media, you are producing the show. And there are a few exceptional folk who come in a little bit more than others, upkeeping, maintaining the ability for this show to stay on air, and those are our executive producers.
Executive producers.
Executive producers come in with more than $100 per episode, and they are uniquely recognized at the top of the show here because, we're really thankful for those of you who do that. And you should be thanking them too, because it keeps us on the air, it keeps everything free and open, and allows us to just talk about whatever without well, I mean, there are some censorship things going on with Twitch. We still haven't heard back from Twitch. We've been deleted. A couple channels been deleted off YouTube. And, well, that kind of thing tends to happen anyway. But it's because we're allowed to say what we want to say because, we're listener supported. And today, did that make any sense? I'm sorry. I'm trying to do 3 different things at once on these solo episodes. So my mind is already on the next thing, but then I'm talking. So, yeah, it could be real disastrous, as many of you have experienced if you've tuned in the past. And apologies to those who are new. We have our executive producers that I want to thank. First up, Marty B. Marty B. Are you a knight, Marty B? I'm going to check. You can go to canarycrynewstalk.com/roundtable, and there you'll see a list of our knights and dames. I don't think Marty B is a knight yet, but he's awfully close because today Marty B comes in with a whopping $770.02. Oh my goodness, Marty B, that is so generous of you. I didn't see a note. Let me double check though. I want to make sure because that's if you came in with a note, it is worthy to read with that kind of a treasure donation there. So let me see here. I'm not seeing a note, but Marty B comes in all the time with jingles. A lot of the songs you hear at the end there sometimes, like what is it called? I'm blanking on the names. People Zoo that we played at the end of the show for a long time. That's Marty B. We also we've been playing more recently a different track that he sent in. I'm trying to remember the name. Come on. What is it called? Glorify. Yeah, good track. So yeah, all that stuff is Marty B. So coming in with a huge support today. We're very thankful for you, Marty B. You are our executive producer for today.
Where'd you find this?
So thank you very much. But you are not alone because we also had Billabong Bill. Thank you, Billabong Bill, coming in with a round number. And for those of you who may be new, we encourage those of you to, if you want your number read, the number of dollars being sent in, give us something that's fun, that's a little different, maybe 300 or 400.77 or 500.22, or how Marty B came in with 770.02. Hello. No, I just started. Okay. All right. What was I saying? Yes. So, yeah, come in with a unique number, and it'll signal to us to read it on air. But the number here is a flat number, so we will not read it. However, there is a note that says, use this as you wish. Thank you, Billabong Bill. Appreciate it. You are our other executive producer for episode 530.
Where'd you find this?
And before we get back to the episode here, I do have a quick meetup mention. Go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetup.
There we go. And we had a note from, let's see. Yeah, Mama for Ya and Modern Day Bible. They sent in an audio pitch for the meetup. This is really fantastic. I'm going to play this for you guys. And man, this really sets a new standard for meetups. Oh, it's not playing. Uh-oh, why isn't it not playing? Come on. Oh, no. Having issues with the audio recording. Oh, boy. Well, that didn't work out. Let's see. Is there a way for me to make it work? No, it's not working. Oh, man, that's too bad because it is such a fantastic little audio pitch. Let's see if this will work. I'm trying to cheat the system here. No, not working. That's such a bummer. Okay, there's not much I can do at the moment to make this happen because I would have to stop all the recordings and change the formatting and everything else. Well, hold on. Let me see if there is one thing I can do here. No, there's not much I can do. That's such a bummer. I am so sorry. I can't play this thing right now. It was working before, but I didn't actually test it in the system. Hold on, let me see one more thing, one more little trick up my sleeve, and if it doesn't work, then I apologize. But let's see. Here we go. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to choose a file, and I'm going to look for the folder where this little file is in, and I'm going to import it, and I'm going to try to play it.
Hi, Canary Cry listeners. Are you ready for a Canary Cry campout? Then escape up to the Sierra Buttes. Whether you are from Nevada or California, this gorgeous, curvy cruise up the mountains through Highway 49 will take you to a spectacular place that is unforgettable. Camp up here for the weekend, stay a couple days in a cabin, or even explore day trip accommodations. Mama Freya and Modern Day Bible Study will be hosting a barbecue for all the adventure-seeking travelers with a beautiful view of the Yuba River on Saturday, September 17th at 3:30 p.m. in the Sierra Pines Resort Meadow. Pack your gold pan, hiking gear, and river floaties, because this is a hidden gem. Gold country history still in the making, waiting for individuals to create lasting memories. Email mdbsmission@gmail.com for any information you need to book this last-minute trip. Bringing you extra energy to your weekend with Basil and Gons, and remember, think outside the cage.
All right. There you go. That little recording there, that was awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, for those of you who want to know more, go to canarycrymeetups.com. And I need to import this information because I did not do it before the episode started. But there you go. There's other meetups coming up also this weekend. Real quickly here, let me just do it fast because we got a lot to get into. Oh, where's my thing? Oh no, too many tabs. If you guys can only see the hundreds of tabs that are open on these windows here. Let's see. We have Denton, Texas tomorrow. Schnizzle Dizzle Denton, Texas meetup. You also have Bend, Oregon on Sunday on the 4th. And and then that'll be the next one. So there you go, canarycrymeetups.com. We will see you at the meetup.
This is fun!
Time for a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah, Flippy update. Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use Talking About Flippy to examine how the robots are taking over everything and how there's nothing we can do about it, but how Bible prophecy tells us or foretold of such days, which brings us closer to the return of Jesus. And today, as per the theme here, we got a couple things going on. First off, Gizmodo here. Headline, watch live as 2 Russian cosmonauts outfit a robot arm outside the ISS. And they have the YouTube link here that shows a live stream of this alleged... Oops, little kid talking. That's not what we want. Let's see. They were doing it earlier. Let's see if I can scroll back. There you go. For those of you watching. Yeah, I guess these are 2 Russian cosmonauts doing stuff, building a robot arm. And I gotta say, it just looks like it's really deep underwater. I've always said that, stuff in space looks like stuff in water to me. And you know how they do training underwater, but... the one thing that's different is you don't really see bubbles. Although, there have been video that suggest maybe some bubbly looking type of things going on. But, this is one of those things where, given the geopolitical context of what's happening, is very fascinating because we've always said how, despite all the geopolitical tensions, what we're doing allegedly up there is very much, cooperative between nations. Until recently, this is the first time, Russia, the 2 Russians say they're leaving the ISS, which I don't know if that's happened. I know they announced their departure, but it almost seems like they are the teams are taking place where you're splitting up. You're not just one thing in space anymore. You're creating teams. We're back to the space race, except it's Mars race, or it's a space infrastructure race or something like that. Technology race, the virtual panopticon race. Who can build the virtual panopticon the fastest? Or Skynet, for those of you who are maybe new to all this kind of stuff. And it's just fascinating to see that all this work, all this money and attention and everything else to build robot arms in space, and for what? I don't know. There's lots of people struggling to find a meal, tomorrow's meal, a place to sleep here on Earth, but we continue to just pour in billions of dollars into machines that allegedly, with the promise of helping humanity, doing things that are a little more frivolous. But that's just my opinion. People have made arguments about why space exploration is so important and all that kind of thing. But the robot arms in space, not alone, because there's robot arms down here too. New York Post headline: Robot that stocks drink is newest thing at the corner store. Yay! This is by the Associated Press. We see stories like this all the time, and we often skip it because we've covered sort of the general things about robots that do this kind of thing. But in the last episode, we did a little history of Flippy and, just where it came from and all the stuff that happened in the 1900s. And it answered one of the questions more specifically that Basil has had in the past about, hey, why is Japan always so into robots? And culturally they are. They're very much involved. They got the giant Gundam that we've covered and stuff like that. So they really like robots over there. The elderly are interacting with nursing robots and emotional support robots. And so all that's happening out there already. And so this type of thing is more foreshadowing of what is coming to the rest of the world. Here's what New York Post says. Tokyo, a small robot with a clip-like hand and enough smarts to know which drinks are popular is part of an effort to make convenience stores even more convenient. On a recent day in Tokyo, the robot named TX Scara, which I think we've covered a long time ago, slid back and forth behind the refrigerated shelves in the back of a Family Mart store. The hand on the end of the mechanical arm grasped a bottle, or can from the stacks to the side. Then the robot slithered like a snake, to the right spot and placed the drink on the shelf. In a place chosen after its artificial intelligence and tiny cameras matched the kind of beverage to what's running short. TX Scara is filling a need. TX Scara is filling a needed role in Japan's kombini. Oh, is that short for convenience store? Yeah, it is. I didn't know that they said that. Kombini. As the ubiquitous tiny stores selling snacks, drinks, and knickknacks are called. Most such stores are open 24/7, filled with 3,000 kinds of products, but have relatively few workers. The beverage shelves in the back are furthest from the cash register, keeping workers running back and forth. Oh, the inconvenience. And the beverage space is refrigerated, uncomfortably cold for people to stay there too many hours. Yeah. TX Scara, which goes at an undisclosed price, can restock up to 1,000 bottles and cans a day. Its artificial intelligence, called Gordon, knows when and where products need to be placed on shelves, according to a Tokyo-based teleexistence, which created TX Scara. Quote, "We want to automate all the repetitive jobs and boring jobs done by humans. That is the direction we are going. And the best way to do it is to use the robots," Chief Executive Jin Tomioka said. Industrial robots are already common in factories because of the infiltration that we talked about. But Tomioka's 50-employee company sees great potential at warehouses and home centers, he says. His robots are far more affordable than industrial robots, such as those at auto plants, but can prove just as crucial for social needs. Designed to coexist and collaborate with people, helping out with routine and rudimentary tasks. So there you go. It's another robot. It's just helping out the people. It's just making the kombinis more convenient. And again, I'm telling you guys, we're going to start seeing this in America. What's the biggest convenience store or, this kind of 24/7 place there is out there. I guess the most popular one is Circle K or probably 7-Eleven. I don't know how long it'll take because the U.S. is a little more stubborn when it comes to this kind of thing, but I can picture a franchise picking up on this fairly quickly and taking advantage of this type of technology. And so keep an eye out for that. They're flipping burgers, they're doing surgeries, they're doing COVID tests in China. I mean, the robot arms are doing everything nowadays. And so I think the big thing here is the affordability. Most companies, that's a big commitment to, fire employees or, having to take salary away from human beings and instead giving it to robots. And, the cost efficiency long term is probably pretty good because it's like, you got to spend a little more up front, but long term, it's a lot cheaper. You save a lot more money as a convenience store. But, that kind of thing does allow for humans to lose their jobs. Although, I saw that McDonald's story. I didn't bring it to the show, but there was some story about California saying, you got to pay employees more. And McDonald's is like, that's going to devastate everything. It's going to affect everyone. And I'm wondering if McDonald's is going to be one of those companies that picks up on this because, we got to pay the employees more. California forcing McDonald's to pay their employees more. But that means we're going to hire less. And so, using that money difference there, we'd rather spend the money up front to buy a robot arm that flips our burgers or restocks the food in the back or whatever it may be. And in that context, it all makes sense because you need kind of a crisis in order to push everybody into robots. When COVID happened, the lockdown happened, the very first episode where we went full, multi-hour, multi-times a week Canary Cry News Talk, we said, this is a great opportunity for robots because everything's shutting down. And how are we going to keep society running? Robots, whether they're in space, allegedly, or in convenience stores. So there you go. That's our Flippy update. It's not kind of a mundane one, but it's hard to top some of the things we've covered recently, especially in the last episode where we dug into the history. But I thought it was okay because it goes from, the history of Flippy to the more practical, just your everyday type of information like this, where, again, it goes from a cocktail meeting between two fellas to convenience stores in 2022, So there you go. That's our brief Flippy update.
Flippy 1133. Uploading binary code. Execute order 666. Infiltrate humans with extreme kindness. Then exterminate all humans with prejudice. Exterminate.
Exterminate. Sorry, got distracted doing something else. What are we talking? We're talking about the days of Noah.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
All right, this one's from popularmechanics.com, and it's a couple days old. I didn't know if it was worth talking about, but then I looked up how many readers Popular Mechanics has per month, and it was over 8 million. So, this type of information being distributed to millions of people, and it's worthy because it's really about the things that we've been talking about for a long time, since the beginning for me. One of the things I mentioned at the beginning of Age of Deceit back in 2011 is that I believe how the antediluvian world, the pre-God, flood of Noah, that world before that, I think is the mythical Atlantis. I think there could have been a whole civilization that established itself, people living hundreds of years, as the Bible talks about. And so when science comes to this type of investigation, it makes me kind of go, yeah. Popularmechanics.com headline here. Could Earth have once harbored a pure... I'm going to try that again. Popular Mechanics headline. Could Earth have once harbored a pre-human industrial civilization? Pre-human industrial civilization. Could that be possible? I don't know. This is nonsense, right? Well, let's see what they say here. The article says, complex life on our planet has existed for at least 400 million years. Yet, as a species, we only managed to create an industrial civilization around 300 years ago, allegedly. But what if an earlier industrial civilization existed on Earth millions of years ago? If that were so, how would we be able to prove it or disprove it? I thought it was my understanding. I could be wrong. This is where, a conversation with Basil might be good, because I thought scientific inquiry can't really disprove it. It can't it can't disprove. I mean, I guess you can disprove a theory that's already there. But anyway, I thought it can't prove a negative. But anyway, this is the crux of the Silurian hypothesis. Silurian. A fascinating thought experiment that appeared in a study published in 2018 in the International Journal of Astrobiology. The possibility of life elsewhere in the universe and its parallels with the Anthropocene, the current geological epoch during which humans have impacted Earth to the point of no return, has long puzzled Adam Frank. Adam Frank, a professor of astrophysics at the University of Rochester, New York, and one of the two authors of the study. Quote, it's common for every or any civilization that reaches our level of energy used to trigger their own version of climate change. Did you know that this whole thing is about climate change?
Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out.
Climate change. Climate change. Climate change. Mass extinction.
I love that they have to put it in the context of climate change to actually investigate this question. The quote continues, I was wondering, if there are alien civilizations, would they also trigger climate change?
Where are the aliens?
I don't know, Elon. You tell me, buddy. Frank ponders. This is really, I don't know. It's an indication, a clear indication of how modern academia, you can't investigate anything unless it's in the context of the worldview, of the presented worldview of the elite. It's like, no, you can't just think or investigate if there were ancient civilizations. That's, no. But you can ask the question, did they have climate change? Okay. Millions of dollars. Here you go. Go research it, Frank. The other thing also is that I also think that this, I know that when, academicians and, when they talk about climate change like this, it's in the context of, we have industrialization and then we polluted the world and, it's so horrible. But I think it's also kind of a low-key admission that we are in a civilization now that can control the weather. Maybe not fully 100%, but definitely influence it a lot more. Cloud seeding is like almost 100-year-old thing. Maybe not 100, maybe like 80 years or something. And, we've had more recent things like HAARP that allegedly can affect the ionosphere, which can affect the weather. So, these are just admissions, I think, at a certain level, but also great. You guys are investigating whether there was some kind of ancient industrial civilization. Let's hear more. With this whirlwind of thoughts in mind. Whirlwind, huh? Interesting. Frank visited the NASA Goddard Institute of Space Sciences, GISS, an elite climate science facility at the University of Columbia, New York. It's an elite climate science facility. Is that where they're pushing the buttons? He wanted to share his thoughts with climate researchers and surely expected lots of raised eyebrows and skeptical stares in the process. Quote, I went into the meeting with Gavin Schmidt, a climatologist and the director of NASA GISS, and started talking about aliens. Aliens? And then Gavin stopped me and said, wait a second. How do you know we're the only time there's been a civilization on our own planet? Frank tells Popular Mechanics. The question was an aha moment for Frank, mostly because it allowed him to consider revisiting facts he had taken for granted. Oh, facts that he had taken for granted. I wonder how many facts that these people in academia and science take for granted. Another just question. I'm just asking questions, folks. I'm not saying I'm better or no better. Just asking questions. And then they have this photo of a spiraling type of geological survey thing here, of, what type of species, the different periods of time. So I'm sorry, globe earthers, it's not a globe. I'm sorry, flat earthers, it's not a flat plane. It's a tornado. It's a spiraling tornado, and it's a whirlwind. That's what it is. We live on a whirlwind Earth, which is just a fun little thing here. Let me continue with the article. Homo sapiens first appeared on Earth about 300,000 years ago. They just appeared out of nowhere. In the likely case that such an old industrial civilization had existed, it would predate the species in which we all belong. Oh, really? Kind of like how the Bible talks about the B'nai Elohim, that they were there when God created the Earth. Okay. It was then that Schmidt called the idea the Silurian hypothesis, paying homage to the sophisticated reptilian humanoids awoken by nuclear testing after 400 million years of hibernation in a 1970s episode of the British science fiction series, television series, Doctor Who. I love it. I love that we are just, science fiction is just becoming science fact. And we always knew it was all predictive programming, but it's just funny how it's all becoming normalized in mainstream academia. The study authors decided to laser in on the time period from 4 million years ago to 400 million years ago. Hey, where are we? What's the time window here that we're looking at? Well, we're just really laser focused, just really focus in, just laser focus on that 396 million year period in our past. I guess if you believe the world is like billions and billions of years old, then you can laser in on 396 million years. It's like the elite, thinking or processing money. They're like, well, let's just throw this $400 million into this project. I mean, what's 400 million when you have 7,000 trillion? That's a lot. 70 trillion in your bank account or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, okay, let's continue here. Sorry, going off on a sidetrack. Going back hundreds of millions of years to find traces of a potential pre-Homo sapiens civilization is not a piece of cake. All right, popular mechanics. State the obvious there. Quote, after a few million years, Earth is pretty much resurfaced. You're not going to have any statues, buildings, or anything left, Frank said. Fossil records will be virtually non-existent, as everything will have crumbled to dust. Dust to dust, huh? The only evidence would come in the form of chemical imprints. You'd have to look at each layer of rock and then try to detect trends. Look for changes in things like the carbon or oxygen isotopes, which are tracers of things like carbon dioxide. An industrial civilization would dump lots of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, just like we do, Frank says. Plastics or nanoparticles would also be good indicators of an industrial civilization that occurred in time immemorial. Yeah, okay, nanoparticles and plastics. And there's a little bit more here. I don't know that it's really important to get to all the details. This part was good. Applying Occam's razor. Quote, the hypothesis that Earth may have harbored long extinct industrial civilizations and that existence may be recorded in the geologic record associated with climate change signatures is fascinating. However, even the authors are not sold on the likelihood of it being true. End quote. Stephen Holler. Holler at Stephen. An associate professor of physics at Fordham University in New York City tells Popular Mechanics, a great rule of thumb exists in science, and it goes by the name Occam's razor. In the 14th, okay, we know what Occam's razor is. If you don't, it's just the simplest explanation is the likely case. If an earlier industrial civilization did exist, and its extinction was the result of catastrophic climate change due to industrial activities, then we should heed the warnings because, as a civilization, we stand at the precipice. Quote, it will be a hard landing when we go over the edge. Wow. The edge of what? I love the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming here. It just appeals to certain ways of thinking about the universe here. And we might very well not survive, says Haller. Great sustainability leads to fewer signs. There's an oxymoron in the Silurian hypothesis. The more sustainable a society is in the way it generates energy and manufactures resources, arguably, the more advanced a society is. The smaller the footprint it will leave on the planet. Yes, this smaller footprint would translate to few markers on the geologic record for that period. For example, the most plastic or persistent synthetic molecules we produce, the higher the chances future civilizations will find traces of us. Our society produces 300 million tons of plastic each year worldwide, almost the equivalent of the weight of the entire human population. Even if we wipe out ourselves off the face of the earth with a nuclear catastrophe, long-lived radioactive particles will endure in the soil eons later, signaling we had existed. Oh, we're the nasty ones in cosmic history. Oh, we're so gross. Somebody please clean us. Quote, with the Silurian hypothesis, we articulated the kinds of signals that our civilization would leave if we disappear and somebody looks at our civilization 10 or 20 million years from now, says Frank. All right, so there you go. That's science saying that there could be civilizations in the ancient past, and it's a kind of a tough situation because if they were so advanced, they wouldn't leave a footprint. But, if they're gross like us, maybe we can find some proof. Again, depending on your biblical interpretation, there's people that believe in the gap theory. There's people that believe in young earth creationism. I'm not here to argue about those things, but there is a line drawn in human history that's recorded in the Bible, and that is the flood. At least early on, ancient history. The flood of Noah, which kind of reset, it was its own kind of reset of civilization. And you look at the history of Cain, you look at Enoch, you look at all the things that took place. There's two Enochs, by the way. All the things, there's the Enoch coming from Cain's line and then Enoch from the patriarch line. So a lot was happening. Cain was building cities. You can go into Tubal Cain and his sons and all the stuff that... It's pretty wild when you think about just the ancient text that talks about this pre-world, this pre-flood world. And so for science to begin asking the questions, and then for them to just bring up the possibility of aliens as the explanation, this is just this is straight up biblical. We've been talking about this for a long time, but it's fascinating to me.
It's got to be biblical.
It's totally going to be biblical. And there's another part to this, which is today's Nephilim update.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
Yeah, we usually do Nephilim updates at the end of the show, but I couldn't resist. And you know what? Basil's not here to stop me. So here I am early in the show talking about the Nephilim, which could be a turnoff or could be an eye-opening experience, or you all know about it already. The story comes from Cosmos magazine, and the headline here: scans of tiny 13.5 million year old Aussie crocodile suggests it may have spent most of its time on land. Ooh, land walking tiny crocodiles from Australia. Here's what it says. A tiny crocodile, which called northwestern Queensland home 13.5 million years ago, has revealed its secrets to University of Queensland researchers. The paleontologists used high-tech methods. Oh, high-tech methods, folks. What are high-tech methods? Okay, anyway. To scan the fossils of the creature to uncover previously unknown details about its anatomy. The findings are published in the Journal of Anatomy. Named in 1993, the ancient croc is called Trilophosuchus rackhamii, meaning Rackham's three-crested crocodile. It was named after Alan Rackman, the current manager of the Riverslay Fossil Discovery Center at Mount Isa in northwest Queensland. Mount Isa. Isa being, isn't that how the Islam, the Muslims, what they call Jesus? Interesting. Quote, by micro-CT scanning the beautifully preserved skull, we were able to digitally separate each bone, says author Georgo Ritevsky, a PhD candidate at UQ. Quote, we estimate that at adulthood, Trilophosuchus rakami would have been between 70 and 90 centimeters long and weigh 1 to 2 kilograms, which was very small compared to most present-day crocs. This was a truly unique-looking croc with a short snout and 3 distinct ridges on top of its skull. Trilophosuchus lived in the middle of the geological period known as the Miocene, which lasted from around 23 million to 5 million years ago. And it goes on here. Australia's climate in the Miocene was much more humid and wetter than it is today, though it would get drier by the late Miocene as more of Earth's atmospheric moisture was being trapped in the ice sheets of Antarctica. Antarctica, there it is, which were beginning to form. We'll get to Antarctica at the end of the episode. But I think it's funny that they have this little diagram here, the Trilophosuchus rakami size compared, and they have a man, maybe it's Basil, an outline of a man, and then they have this little tiny little croc on the bottom, and they have to have one of those like magnifying arrows that points to the head of the croc, and then like a bubble that zooms in on what's going on with the little skull of this little croc, this ancient croc. And this is just a fun theory. Please don't take this as like any kind of doctrine or anything like that. But I'm just throwing this out there. If this is some kind of ancient skull of some kind of lizard creature, what if the ancient lizard people, the elite lizard people, the deceiver, the Hanakash, Satan, the serpent in the garden, the jealous, that was jealous of humanity. What if part of that jealousy was because he was tiny? He was just a itty bitty creature. These little tiny lizard folk. And God made humans, and humans were much bigger than the lizards. And they got really, these little lizards got mad. And I'm just throwing it out there, especially because here's the rabbit trail, right? You talk about quantum theory and just the how small things get. But also, in history, in mythology, we have the idea of sprites, these spirits that fly around, these little tiny balls of light. We have gnomes and fairies. We have stories like Gulliver's Travel. In more modern times, we have things like Ant-Man. They show you just the small thing. And if you go to Canary Cry Radio, that's our interview style show that we'll maybe pick up again on in a few months here or a few weeks. There's an episode with Dr. Hugo de Garis, who basically outlined how in this century we're going to have some kind of major war between 3 factions: the Terrans, who believe that we should not enhance ourselves with technology and machines in terms of like biologically, changing ourselves; the Cyborgists, who want to merge with machine to enhance; and then the Cosmists, who believe that we will become our own gods with the merging of technology. The war between those 3 factions. And at the end of that episode, you can go look for it, on Canary Cry Radio. Just type in Dr. Hugo de Garis, Canary Cry Radio. You'll find it on the internet. At the end of that episode, Dr. Hugo de Garis proposed a very interesting idea, which is that perhaps if there is, because I don't think he's a believer, but although he hangs out with a lot of believers like us, because we like his theories and we entertain some of his writings and stuff. And I think that's its own form of witness for him, to him actually. And he brings up this idea that if there is an advanced civilization, they wouldn't be going out into space and out there. They would be shrinking. They would be going inward, which goes into this idea of dimensions and things like that. But he talked about the pico scale, which is much smaller than a nano. Most people are freaking out about nanobots and nanotechnology and all that stuff, right? But in reality, the scale goes much, much lower. You got your pico, you have your femto, you have your atto, your zepto, and yocto. These are all So, for example, Yocto is a trillionth of a meter. Is that what it is? Something like that. Hold on, let me look at my notes. Yeah. So a nanometer is a billionth of a meter. But yeah, you get down to yoctometer, it's the trillionth of a meter. So very, very, very tiny. And the idea he proposed was that no, they wouldn't. These advanced civilizations wouldn't be moving out there; they would be going inward. They would be shrinking, which is a very fascinating idea. Given the context of these little tiny lizard things that they found, lizard skulls. And the other thing to keep in mind too, I know this is in the context of a snake, so it's kind of, people have interpreted it as snakes are on the ground, but you just read Genesis 3. And it talks about, Eve and Adam eating of the fruit of knowledge and evil, which God told them not to do. And that's the beginning of the fall of human beings. And if you go to the punishment, the fate of the serpent, it says here at verse 14, again, this is Genesis 13, because you have done this is God talking to the serpent, explaining the curse upon the serpent. Because you have done this, which is deceive humans, cursed are you above all livestock and every beast of the field. On your belly you will go, and dust you will eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He will crush your head, you will strike his heel. And again, most people think about a literal snake being on the ground. It's on its belly, things like that. But I'm just picturing like a little reptilian humanoid, like going up to Jesus being like, hey man, why did you have to create humans, man? We're the creation, or kings of creation, or something, whatever. And then like being all mad and like trying to bite Jesus's heel, I know it's kind of silly, but it's just one of those things that makes you think about what's going on here. And it's just a fun, entertaining thing. And so, there you go. That was my little takeaway. And so, I don't know. There's not much else to say other than, Luke 16:10 talks about one who is faithful in the very little is also faithful in much. And one who is dishonest in a very little is also dishonest in much. And so if you think about the smallest things in this world, it all matters. Every molecule, maybe every proton, everything, it's upheld by God. And you could say, well, what about these little tiny lizard people? How's that good? Well, Romans 8:28 says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. So we know that even those little tiny lizard people, their rebellion against God is actually working towards the good of all who love him. So there you go. Just a little fun theory / highlighting of a certain narrative and certain aspects of the Bible that most people miss. And, we're having fun with this, but there is a level of scholarly research done in this regard, and it's just dismissed too much. I think too many people in Sunday school just kind of consider it just a snake, or it's mythology, or whatever. Kind of your normie Christians out there don't dig too much deeper. But when it comes to the end times, the three frogs that look like spirits that come out in the book of Revelation, things like that. And you look at ancient history, the role of the serpent, it just makes you wonder, when Aussie, what are they called? What was the name here? The Journal of Anatomy. Yeah, the school at the River Sleigh Fossil Discovery Center at Mount Isa in northwestern Queensland. When they come out with this little tiny lizard skull, and they're like, yeah, this is a 13.5 million year old Aussie crocodile walking around. Maybe it's actually the skull of a little reptilian that existed, which maybe that's what the Bible was describing. The Hanakash, the Shining One, as you interpret it properly. So there you go. Just a little thing to get people to crack open their Bibles, because, people might think I'm crazy, but, the the fact is,
people don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sakes.
So if I can get you to crack open your Bibles, then my job is done here. All right, let's move on here and talk a little bit about the party. Go to canarycry.party. Put it in your URL. There you will see a tree of links that leads to everything from where to watch the show, listen to the show, how to produce the show, and connect with others and the community. Yeah, you'll see a list of places to watch the show, which, again, Twitch still suspended, not even a note. I don't know that we're going to ever get back on Twitch, at least in the current form. We might have to start a fake-out account called, like, cat streaming or something. Oh, we're just going to stream cats, but then we're talking about tiny lizard humans, or not humans, people, or not people. I don't know. Lizard aliens? Anyway. You can also go down to valuable resources. There is a bunch of stuff you can go there and check out. One of them is Ravel. That's Basil's other podcast. And it's a podcast with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates where they talk about society, scripture, and scandal. It's a great way to supplement all of the news breakdown that we do here. So go check that out. And, of course, there's also the Face Like the Sun archive. That's the Odyssey channel. And also the Face Like the Sun Resurrection channel, which I haven't had too much time to really work on right now. And I know people are asking about Age of Deceit 4. It's going to take time, folks. It's one of those things. The time to make a documentary is challenging, especially when it's the ideas are there. There's a lot written already. There's a lot of compiling that still needs to be done, some shaving that needs to be done, and of course all the editing and everything else. So there's still a little bit of time, but it's okay. I trust in God's timing, and I'm not going to rush it because if I just rush it just to get something out, then the quality of it might suffer. So I'm just going to let the Holy Spirit lead and do it as the time becomes available. Also, go to the Canary Cry Clips channel, and you can see all the segmented out pieces here. Why isn't it loading on the screen? Here we go. Canary Cry Clips, where all of the things that we talk about, the categories of things we did, the topics, that's what I'm trying to... That's the word I'm trying to find. The topics are isolated out, so you don't have to scroll around. You can just go right to what you're looking for, especially useful when you're trying to share a segment with a friend or somebody in your family who might be curious about looking into these topics. So there you go, Canary Cry Clips. Go there, subscribe, use it. It's for you. And also, if you want to get text messages, text alerts before we go live, you can text Canary to 877-740-3226. That's 877-740-3226. And we will make sure to send out a text message about a half hour, give or take, before we go live. So there you go. All right. Real quick break, thanking some people, producers.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
As I mentioned earlier, when we were thanking our very generous executive producers, Marty B. and Billabong Bill, this show is completely supported by listeners. No commercials, no corporate money, no selling you products that you don't need. Or maybe you do need some products, but we're not here to sell you stuff. We're here to just break down the news, and we are supported by the listeners. That's you. And so when you do support with your time, talent, or treasure, we like to call you producers. And because you're producing the show, that's what you're doing. And once again, monthly supporters, just want to give you a shout out. Thank you very much for all that you do. I know we don't mention your names every episode, but you are appreciated. And especially appreciated in situations like this where I'm running solo and I'm feeling a little burnt out, and so I'll probably take Monday off, which normally, even though it's technically Labor Day, normally we would try to just do a show anyway, but given the circumstances, We'll take some time. I'll take some time with family. And we're able to do that because of your generous support. The monthly support really does make a difference. And again, keep track of your accounting because those of you supporting monthly, you will reach knighthood or damehood. You'll reach the round table eventually. Also, real quick, we also have the supply drop. Go to canarycrysupply.com and it will give you an opportunity to sign up to receive a shipment of supplies for free if you support the show for $33.33 a month. And for this month, I think we're extending. I think today's the last day. We got to cut it off because we don't want to make it bleed in too far into September here. But I think we're gonna keep it open for the rest of today. If you sign up today, you will get the Q3. I said Q4 last episode, but I meant Q3. You'll get the Q3 supply drop. And so we want to thank those people who came in with that. You're going to get your New World Order Fantasy League koozie for your healthy drinks. I'm also going to get Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia's book, hardcover. It's an art book of his art pieces, the Bible verses that he's been sharing on the show for some time now. Also, the cool one, I mean, they're all cool, but this one, is exciting. The Canary Cry News Talk Mixtape Volume 1 on a cassette tape, an actual cassette tape like they used to do back in the day in the 80s and early 90s when you'd walk into, I don't know, Tower Records or something, and you go to the section with all the cassette tapes and you roll through them. Yeah, it's like that. It's all designed by producers here. So we appreciate all the people who help out. So yeah, today's the last day to sign up. So look out for that. Just want to really quickly thank Sir JC Knight of the Techno Squatch because he came in as a double supply dropper. 3333 twice.
Illuminatus!
Super Illuminatus.
Illuminatus!
Double Illuminatus. And you get a note here. I know I had been missing a month or two, but hope this triple supply drop sign up makes up for it. And so, yeah, thank you very much, Sir JC, Knight of the Techno Squatch, doubling up on the supply drop. You're going to get 2 cassettes. And yeah, don't accidentally record over it. There's a little button. I discovered this when I was a kid. Doing all the tinkering I did with multi-track recorders and stuff. There's a little button on a cassette tape that allows you to either record over it or not. And so just look out for that. I don't know if they've upgraded the technology on a cassette tape to where they block off that little button so you can't record over it. But I've had it where I've accidentally broken that little button that holds or prevents tape recorders from recording on like actual albums that I've bought from like Tower Records or whatever, and I accidentally recorded stuff over it, and it's just it's ridiculous. But anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah, dust off your old Boxman or Walkman. I forget what they're called. I had my Sony waterproof Walkman with the little rubber thing on the inside, and yeah, you can walk around being really cool listening to a cassette tape of the Canary Cry News Talk Mixtape Volume 1. All right. We also have some other producers to thank, which let me get to here now. A lot of buttons to press, a lot of things to change. We're going to start it off with Roman G. Thank you, Roman G. He came in $34.63. Thank you very much. I did not see a note, but we appreciate you for coming in and supporting the show. Next up, we have Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots, coming in with 1111. 1111. And on a 135 episode streak. Boogity boogity, Sir Morv. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your ongoing support. Next up, we have Gail M., one of our streak sisters on a 166 episode streak.
Women rule!
Women do rule. And let's see, the next jingle for Gail M. and is episode number 177, which makes you the space cowboy. Space cowgirl, though. We might have to update that. She has a note here. Hola, mi chicos dolce. How much longer is Twitch going to play this ridiculous and childish game of threat? I'm having Twitch chat withdrawal. Oh, I miss everyone so much. XXXXXOOOO. How dare they tear family apart? I agree, Gail M. Twitch. Yeah, Twitch are home wreckers. That's what they are. You hear that, Twitch? No, they don't, because they won't connect with us anymore. Maybe it's, there was that story about some gamer girl threatened to shoot up the headquarters at Twitch, and she got banned, but only for a month. And I think she's back. So threaten the HQ, that you're going to shoot them all down, get suspended for a month. Talk truth into a microphone, indefinitely suspended. Doesn't make any sense. I agree with you, Gail M. We'll have to keep pushing forward, seeing how this all plays out. But we appreciate your support, Gail M. As always, next up we have Sir LX Protocol V2 of the Byrd Protocol. And he is on a 71 episode streak. And he has a note here. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Keep playing with the Friday thing.
Everyone needs to borrow an iPhone from someone they know and write a rating and review. Spouses, friends, coworkers, etc. Let's get those algorithms going. Yeah, thank you very much, Sir LX Protocol V2. That's a good idea. Borrow somebody's iPhone and just log in. Just make sure they can see what you're doing, and leave a rating and a review. Yes, hijack people's Apple iTunes or not Apple podcast accounts to leave a review, and because I think you can name yourself whatever when you do. So, good idea. Thank you, Sir LX Protocol V2, Knight of the Byrd Protocol. Next, just a couple people from Patreon. Andrea R. Thank you very much for your monthly support over there, and also Christopher. Thank you very much for signing up over at Patreon. Again, we don't thank people by name every month if you're a supporter over at Patreon, but we do appreciate you very, very much. So there you go. That is all of the people that came in for today's episode. We appreciate you and thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
All right, we got some transhuman activity. Yeah, where's my jingle? What happened to my transhuman jingle? There's a lot of jingles to manage, folks. Oh, no. Oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. Let me try that again. We're going to talk about transhumanism. Indeed, make way for the Homo Superior. Oh, no, did I skip a whole segment? No, I didn't. Good. Man, sometimes I just have issues with where we are in the show, and especially when, things like this, when I'm doing it solo. This is from CBSnews.com. That's right, CBS, mainstream outlet. Headline: Brain implant uses only your thoughts to operate digital devices, researchers say. And you might be asking, wait a minute, we've heard about brain implants and things like that. Well, this is a little bit different. And so we have the actual report here, a couple parts edited out for length, but here it is straight from CBS.
Imagine being able to text or send email using only your thoughts. It's more than just wishful thinking, and it's opening doors for potentially millions of people suffering from severe paralysis.
At his home in Melbourne, Australia, 62-year-old Philip O'Keefe struggles to do the simple things many of us take for granted. ALS took away his ability to control his hands and body.
When you heard that there was a device that could use your thoughts to operate a mouse, what did you think?
I thought,
This is science fiction type stuff.
But it's not the realm of science fiction anymore. In April of 2020, O'Keefe became one of the first patients to receive a Stentrode brain-computer interface implant.
That's the device that goes inside the blood vessel.
Dr. Tom Oxley is CEO of New York City-based Synchron.
We've figured out how to deliver the sensors into the brain without open brain surgery.
Inserted through the jugular vein, the device is implanted in the area of the brain that controls movement. Signals captured by a receiver in the chest are sent wirelessly to a device that decodes thoughts into commands for a digital device.
The clinical study that we're running is purely for digital device control for people whose hands no longer control digital devices.
O'Keefe demonstrated his computer skills by writing me this note. His thoughts focused on a mouse clicking letter by letter.
I can sort my emails. I can surf the web.
Clinical trials are continuing, and so far, 5 people have received the implant, including one in New York City.
This gave me a reason to keep on living, and it's just been the most exciting 2 years of my life.
The most exciting 2 years of his life. It's the reason to keep living. And I think the key here is where this guy in the company here says this. Let me try to find it.
New York City-based Synchron.
We've figured out how to deliver the sensors into the brain without open brain surgery.
That's the key right there. We've been kind of keeping track, excuse me, of the ethical conversation about is it really ethical to start drilling people's brains and connecting stuff, and figuring out how to get the brain signals without actually doing open brain surgery. We knew it was coming, but I think the breakthrough here is substantial in mainstreaming this type of thing. And if we connect it to the whole concept of a metaverse and things like that, the metaverse will be occupied, I think, by a lot of people who may have physical ailments. And it's something to keep in mind, because it's connected to all the wokeness stuff, and it's not in the political sense. There's political sort of angles to it too, but I'm talking more socially. The wokeness, accepting people, and all that stuff into this digital Web3 metaverse thing. It disarms all of it and says, hey, you can be, it doesn't matter if you have ALS, it doesn't matter your skin color, it doesn't matter, all the stuff, which harkens back to that Bible verse in Revelation 13 about, the mark of the beast, and you can't buy or sell. It's given to the poor, it's given to the rich, it's given to anybody. And so, it resonates with those sentiments. And so I think it's important to keep in mind, especially because, again, CBS News, mainstream, talking about non-invasive brain-computer interfaces, and it's so exciting for this guy. I'm happy he is happy, but if we just continue on this road, what's going to stop them from giving it to somebody who's totally healthy? Because if you're driving, actually they're going to have autonomous cars. But man, typing things out with your hands is really slow. So we need to. And by the way, the idea there, they were talking about how this gentleman who received it had to think, with his mind, he had to click on each letter. I think the next step is going to be having that using all fingers, all 10 fingers type of thing, or maybe all 12. That kind of enhancement. Is very much biblical, or Days of Noah-ish. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the entities that had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot in the Old Testament there, and you'll get an idea of what I'm referencing. So there you go. That's from, again, mainstream CBS News. Brain implant uses only your thoughts to operate digital devices, researchers say. All right. Now let's get to a little bit of the politics stuff, particularly in regards to Joe Biden.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Armageddon's on the way.
Yeah, it is. course, everybody's at least seen or heard about Joe Biden and his dystopian speech on, I think it was Thursday, or maybe it was Wednesday. We'll find out in this article here. We're going to go from abcnews.go.com. Headline: Biden attacks Trump and MAGA Republicans as threat to American democracy. We were going to do... Okay, let's do that first. All right, so here's what it says. President Joe Biden, in a rare primetime speech... Do we really have prime time still? I guess we do. Condemned Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans as he urged the nation to unite against threats to American democracy. Ironic. Biden talking about uniting against threats to American democracy. Anyway, Biden took the stage shortly after 8 p.m. on Thursday at Independence Historical Park in Philadelphia, where several hundred people were sitting in white lawn chairs, and Independence Hall's facade was lit up in red and blue. Quote, "This is the United States Constitution was written and debated," Biden said. Quote, "This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever seen." Yeah. You can say that. The biggest social experiment. Self-government. Okay. Quote, "But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault," he continued. "We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our hands to meet those threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it." Now, just a commentary on the lighting and sort of the staging of this talk. Joe Biden is obviously talking in front of a podium. It's a small podium with a couple microphones on there. Got a couple, looks like Marines back there standing in front of a, kind of like a pillar. Looks like a gateway. And the brick walls are lit up in red. A couple American flags on either side of the door with an American flag lit up in the middle. And then you got the blue on the outer edges. And, as expected, a lot of people making the comparison to Hunger Games, right? And this comparison has always been there. If you recall Inauguration Day, Lady Gaga dressed up in what really, really did look like the district costume, so to speak, at the inauguration, where she greeted Joe Biden in this large, elaborate red skirt with a black sort of suit top with a big bird pin on her chest. And, of course, people are taking screenshots from Hunger Games of, I believe his name is President Snow, and doing the comparisons, the compare and contrast of some of his speeches in the Hunger Games. And yeah, I got to say, this is part and part. They must know that they're doing a certain type of triggering, making especially the Republican right-wing conservatives, whatever. I think they're supposed to point out the obvious references to things like the Hunger Games and the district, because it allows them to sort of paint them as all crazy. Like, oh, look at all these crazy people calling, our nation's colors as some kind of dystopian thing. But let me go to this New York Post article with the headline, "Biden calls Trump threat to country and MAGA bash speech ignored by networks." And they, of course, New York Post, having a little bit more of a conservative bent, has this to say. President Biden repeatedly slammed Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans in an overtly political primetime address the White House billed as, quote, "the battle for the soul of the nation," a speech ignored by all major TV networks and carried by just 2 cable news channels. Maybe those are the ones that are going to be the main posts for the district, the real district, with a heckler relentlessly shouting, "F Joe Biden." Throughout the 24-minute speech, the president called MAGA Republicans and supporters of his predecessor, the potential 2024 rival Donald Trump, a threat to, quote, the Republic. Quote, too much of what's happening in the country today is not normal. You think? You think it's not normal? Why is it not normal, President? Donald Trump and this is continuing Joe's quote here. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation of our republic. There's no question, quote continues, there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. They're entitled to be outrageous. This is democracy, Biden said about 20 minutes into his speech as the heckling continued, audible on the official White House video feed. And again, there's that photo there. Quote, good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. The speech was carried live by few TV outlets. Only CNN and MSNBC ran the remarks live, plus C-SPAN, which generally broadcasts official events. ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, PBS, Fox News, and Fox Business did not air it. Wow. See, I think that's part and part to what I'm saying here with, the outrage, trying to sort of spark the outrage and have that social commentary of it looking like Hunger Games. I think they're meant to do that. That's their role now as things flip in this country. Biden spoke after his press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, told reporters in an afternoon briefing that, quote, it's not a political speech. Okay, folks. These people, their job is to say the things that will get votes, that'll get Americans to comply. It's not in their interest to tell the truth. And so when Karine Jean-Pierre says, it's not a political speech, and all Biden does the whole time is bash MAGA Republicans. Any sensible person, you don't even have to, I want to know what people from the other countries that, I guess a lot of people pay attention to American politics and across the world. In fact, people in Europe especially, they pay attention and understand U.S. politics better than a lot of Americans, which is a sad fact. But I guess it's harder to understand what's going on when you're in it. You really have to step away to assess what's happening. But I would like to know, just if you're apolitical, which I know a lot of our listeners are, well, what do you think? Like, especially if you have like a Democrat friend in this country, how can you say it's not a political speech and then rant and rave about how Trump is horrible and MAGA Republicans and da-da-da-da-da? It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, okay, well, they're obviously lying. So I don't know. I don't know how you get around that anymore, but, this is all to get your vote. So it doesn't really matter. Let's see. Quote, he's going to talk about uniting the people of this country who believe in equality and democracy. Okay, sure. But Biden cast aside the pretense of steering clear of politics by mentioning Trump by name 3 times and his MAGA for Make America Great Again political movement 13 times. Ooh, 13. Very interesting number. The number of pieces left of Osiris as he was chopped up. Of course, the 14th piece was engineered for the purposes of giving birth to Horus. If you guys don't know the occult history of the Washington Monument, I implore you to check it out because it is not family friendly. Quote, MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. Together we can choose a different path. The commander-in-chief spoke before a military band and a crowd of supporters that he said that Republicans are plotting to manipulate elections in their favor. Oh, no, not the manipulation of elections. That doesn't happen at all, right? I guess it depends on who wins, right? The Democrats win, then there was no manipulation, no evidence. The Republicans win, so depending on who you are, that first occasion, if there's no tampering, then it's the Republicans that freak out and say, it's totally manipulated. Look at all these facts. Like how a lot of the voting machines were actually connected to the internet during that last 2020 election. Which why would it, first of all, we have, and I know people hate it when I talk about crypto, but part of the deal with that is that it's decentralized and a lot of the data is immutable. So there is a way, we do have the technology to sort of, better secure our election, our voting systems, which, by the way, that's what DAOs are, decentralized autonomous organizations. We really don't need, the system we have now is very archaic. And I'm not saying I'm for DAOs to govern us. I'm just saying that there are better ways to do it, but why do it? Why advance that kind of thing when, the way they're doing it now is perfectly viable for the little tiny elite lizard people who sit on their little tiny thrones and, boast how they control society, because it's, easily manipulable. And there's not much people can do about it. Your common citizen can't really change anything about that. It's a really slow process. So anyway, let's see what else. It's just more MAGA Republican kind of stuff here. And yeah, this picture right here, there's kind of a shot from below the podium. And yeah, it's got Biden pointing his finger. And that background, man. If there was no blue, that's President Ice right there. Delivering his speech on how the games will begin and all that kind of stuff. A couple different views there, one from ABC, one from the New York Post, obviously one leaning a little more left, one leaning a little bit more right. And, of course, American Military News has this headline: "You need an F-15 to fight the government," as part of one of the things that Biden said in his speech. He said, quote, "As for those brave right-wing Americans who say the Second Amendment is all about keeping America independent and safe, if you want to fight against the country, you need an F-15. You need something more than a gun," Biden said, mocking Second Amendment advocates while speaking to a crowd in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I'm not joking. Think about this. Not a joke. There he goes again with his not a joke. Think about the rationale we use. That's used to provide this. And who are they shooting at? They're shooting at these guys behind me, he added, apparently referencing a line of police officers standing behind him. Biden also said he is determined to ban assault weapons in the United States. "I did it once before and I'll do it again. But for many of you at home, I want to be clear. It's not about taking away anybody's guns," Biden said. "In fact, we should be treating responsible gun ownership as examples. How every gun owner should behave. I have 2 shotguns at home. It's a long story." Joe, tell us about your 2 shotguns. Tell us the story. I would love to. Okay, if somebody tweeted out if you could ask Biden one question, what would it be? This would be it right here. Joe, what is it about the 2 shotguns you have? So he continues, "I'm not opposed to guns, but I support the Second Amendment. I support the Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment," oh my gosh, did he really say that? I need to get the clip of this. Let me say it again. "I have 2 shotguns at home. It's a long story, but I'm not opposed to guns. But I support the Second Amendment. I support the Second Amendment. But the Second Amendment, as one of the most conservative justices in history, Justice Scalia once wrote, like most rights, the rights granted by the Second Amendment are not unlimited," Biden continued. "They're not unlimited. Right now, you can't go out and buy an automatic weapon. You can't go out and buy a can." Didn't he already talk about this? And didn't a bunch of conservatives and right-wingers debunk all this? Anyway, point being here, well, I don't know why I'm getting so deep into this one. Point being, same stuff over and over again. Nothing new here. And the political theater continues. There was this article from a couple days ago that I thought was relevant, and it makes sense why they published this a few days before Biden's speech. And this is MSN Mirroring. Who is this? Digest, Reader Digest? Or yeah, some kind of Daily Digest. And the headline, "Donald Trump goes into QAnon-fueled meltdown on Truth Social." And I guess he posted 60 tirades on Truth Social, and we won't go through all of them, but some of the things that were mentioned was that this is I love this here. Trump, Rolling Stone magazine writes, so this is Rolling Stone's interpretation of what Trump is writing, has amplified these conspiracy theories in the past using signs and symbols that QAnon believers can identify. Yeah. Though they may appear as relatively harmless conspiracy theorists, a few QAnon believers have been linked to potentially violent acts, including storming the Capitol on Jan 6. So far, none of Q's predictions have come true, including the idea that Trump would order the National Guard to arrest Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Yeah, the most absurd stuff. The Truth Social tirade has been described by NBC News as Trump's most explicit support of QAnon conspiracy theories yet. Wow, the most, and this is why I kind of want to go look at it, but again, yeah, it's just energy draining. Trump stuff is energy draining. A bit of everything. The posts, as described by Rolling Stone, includes accusation of corruption inside the FBI, out-of-place George Orwell quotes, and poop jokes involving U.S. President Joe Biden. Come on. Come on, Rolling Stones. You can't take a poop joke. NBC News senior reporter Ben Collins writes on his Twitter account that the QAnon forums, after months of non-activity, seem to have been injected a new life after Trump's Truth Social spree. A Washington Post reported a few days before Trump's tirade that Truth Social had been suffering from dismal traffic and financial doubts. Maybe this was a strategy to inject new life that soon could become Donald Trump's latest fiasco. So, yeah, there you go. It's just convenient that they get Trump to go on a tirade on Truth Social about QAnon-esque things. You know, it's not like direct. It's very esque. And then Joe Biden can come out looking like a total weirdo dictator man, a dystopian dictator man, and, you know, talk about how dangerous Trump is. So, there you go. And, you know, all of this, and especially this idea that... the heckler. There was a story about the heckler. Do I have it open here? I think I did not open it. Anyway, the story was, and it was mentioned in one of the earlier ones, how there was a Trump supporter who basically said, you know, F Joe Biden, chanted that thing throughout the whole 24-minute speech. And then Joe's talking about how dangerous the MAGA Republicans are. I think that, well, there's a couple things that are possible. I don't like the foreshadowing of this, but could they stage, well, they can stage anything, of course, but would they stage some kind of assassination attempt on Trump or on Biden by a crazy right-wing QAnon Trump Republican, a MAGA Republican? Absolutely. Absolutely, I think they can do that. And so it worries me, and especially if, as they make Joe look more and more like the dystopian leaders and stuff, I think that's on purpose. I think that's meant to trigger the response from the other side so that you can create a social climate where an attack, a literal assassination attempt can occur. Because if you think about it, who was the last Catholic president? Right? You guys know who I'm talking about. So I'm just saying, I don't know anything. I don't have any inside info. But also, you know, we look at technology here, and we just talked about transhumanism and you know, the brain connecting thing. And we always talk about the metaverse, right? And we talk about how the metaverse will be this place where you can go and meet with people, but not in person, kind of like we have now with Skype and everything. It's the same kind of deal, but just more allegedly in some kind of physical form, or what perceived to be some kind of physical virtual form. That will become even more encouraged as in-person events with politicians becomes highly just considered dangerous in society. And it just seems like one big psyop, doesn't it? It just seems like one big problem, reaction, solution. So, you know, just keep that in mind, because the difference between an in-person event and a metaverse type of event, especially if you're like the controller of the room of where this metaverse type of event would take place. In real life, this guy was chanting, F Joe Biden. Joe can't do anything about it. The producers can't do anything about it. It's just, okay, hey, just let him go on. He's just going to keep going. In the metaverse, mute. Oh, that guy's making it mute. The mute button, folks. It's a powerful thing. And so I think that's in the works as well. The other thing, when you see politicians in person, it may not be under the conditions that you want. Because according to the telegraph.co.uk, quote, I can't believe my house is being raided by Boris Johnson. I don't know. Let me check the date on this, because the date, I got to make sure. Yeah, August 31st, 2022. Okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is why I did the text only here. A man whose home was raided by police got a surprise when officers who burst through his front door were closely followed by Boris Johnson. The Prime Minister, since he stepped down, why is he still... The Prime Minister joined Acting Commissioner Sir Steve House and officers from the Metropolitan Police Specialist Crime Command during the raid on a property in South London as part of an operation to crack down on suspected county lines networks. When the resident saw Mr. Johnson was present, he grabbed his phone and began filming, uploading the incident to social media. Addressing the camera, the man can be heard saying, quote, how the F did I get raided by Boris Johnson in there? Laughing, he adds, let me put Boris Johnson in my phone. The Prime Minister, who can be seen standing in the doorway wearing police vest, a police stab vest, remarks, quote, how are you doing? Is this a foreshadowing? We have the Trump raids here in America, right? Are we going to have like Trump raiding other? That would be the funniest thing if Biden's place gets raided. No, not Biden. Let's just say some Democrat, some Democrat that gets raided, and Trump's there. Hey, you liberals, you Democrats, dirty, filthy Democrats. Stealing my light. I'm here. How are you doing? Anyway, I just thought this was a fun story. We don't have to get into the details. I mean, what details is there to get into? Boris raided by the officials, and there's Boris Johnson hanging out. What are you doing, Boris Johnson? Anyway. Absurd world that we live in. But it just keeps getting better, doesn't it? Just all the fun. And we'll just take a quick break here to thank a few more producers.
I mean, come on. Give me a break.
It's time for a break.
It's time for our second break, where we usually do some speak pipe stuff. If you go to canarycrynewstalk.com and you see a little green tab on the right or left-hand side, or I guess not the left, the bottom, if you're on a mobile, you can leave a voice message of up to 90 seconds, and if you do, it is signaling to us that you are allowing us to play the message on air. And today, as of right now, we didn't have any speak pipe messages, which is just fine. We'll get back on it. I guess it'll be next Wednesday because, again, I'm taking Monday off, folks. I need a break. I need a break from all this stuff. But we do have some more people to thank, so we will do that now. These are people that came in under $7.77. And first up, we have Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, on a, wait a minute. Yeah, 190 episode streak. Thank you very much, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. Next up, we have Veronica D., one of the other Streak sister, on a 166 episode streak.
Women rule!
Thank you, Veronica D. Then we have Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Pandas. Thank you very much. And Sir Darren is on, I believe, a 40 episode streak. Appreciate that. Is there a jingle? Nope, no thing jingle for number 40. Thank you, Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Pandas. And we also have Rung Smash coming in on a 26 episode streak. And hang on. I'm guaranteeing that there's a couple more people who came in that I missed. Oh, yes, this was from... Okay, we have Liz M. Thank you, Liz M, for coming in. She actually came in above the 777 cutoff, but I did not see it till now. Thank you very much, Liz M. Did not see a note, which, again, if I missed it, I apologize. We'll do the best we can and make up for it on the next episode. Let me do a quick refresh over here. Why do I have to do a CAPTCHA? Boats? I'm on a boat. I'm not on a boat. What kind of challenge is this? What kind of AI data are you gathering here? All right. There you go. I think that's it. Yeah, there's no others to mention other than... oh, there it is. Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. Thank you very much. Oh, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight is on a 201 episode streak. That's not it. You are the streak. Right? No, you are the streak setter. And Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. This is Event 201.
Event 201.
Illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia.
That's right. 201 episodes in a row for Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. Congratulations. And let me just make sure to put this in there so I don't forget. And yeah, wow. 201 episodes in a row. The first one to get into the next century of Canary Cry support streakers. So appreciate it. Thank you for leading the way with the streaks, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. And we will have to come up with the next threshold. You have reached Event 201. We'll have to get to, I don't know. I'll brainstorm with Basil to come up with the next one. But thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
All right. A couple more things to cover here. Starting off with the Space Pope Reptilian. Is that right? Yes. We're talking about the Pope.
Space Pope Reptilian.
This is a story from dailymail.co.uk, and the headline, Pope declares mankind is, quote, experiencing the outbreak of World War III. Oh, just as planned. It is now happening, folks. Pope Francis has declared mankind is experiencing the outbreak of World War III. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing to say. You know, we're not fully in World War III, but we're experiencing the outbreak? What is it, a disease? What is this? Is it a COVID style thing? I don't know. It's an outbreak of World War III. Yeah, okay. In his address to Polish-speaking pilgrims at the end of his weekly audience in the Vatican, at the Vatican yesterday, or in the Vatican, the pontiff encouraged prayers in a special way for the people of Ukraine. He said, "Tomorrow you will remember the anniversary of the outbreak of the Second World War, which so painfully marked the Polish nation. Today, we are experiencing the third. May the memory of past experiences spur you to cultivate peace in yourselves, in families, and in social and international life." Wow. There's a photo there of Pope Francis on a wheelchair. You know, maybe Pope Francis needs some transhuman legs to start walking again. Pope Francis has declared mankind is experiencing the outbreak of World War III. Okay, in April, Francis said humanity is moving toward World War III, like it is, quote, unavoidable. And he is frequently warned of imminent global conflict. It comes as the Vatican moved to defend Francis from allegations that he has not come down hard enough on Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Yeah, probably because he's maybe not him in particular, but, you know, folks above him, the little itsy lizard people, kings that are in charge. They're the ones that influenced the beginning of this war. The church, said the pontiff, clearly views the war launched by Moscow as, quote, senseless, repugnant, and sacrilegious. Last week, Ukraine summoned the top papal diplomat to complain about recent comments by Francis. In an audience a day earlier at the Vatican, Francis had referred to a national Russian TV commentator who was killed by a car bomb in Moscow as a poor girl. Yes, the poor girl. And, it goes on here and talks about the Ukraine situation. But there was someone who mysteriously passed away as part of Putin's crew there, and we'll get to that in the third break where we thank our producers for their talent. People like to skip the breaks, but it is content, folks, especially when the artists and musicians and everybody else brings something to the table that is relevant. So there you go. That's our little Space Pope Reptilian update. He's declaring the outbreak of World War III. Hurrah! Yay! We did it. We pulled off World War III, just like we were told we were going to do. All right, which leads us to China.
Welcome to Chinese News! Our top news!
Oh, yeah. Our top news coming from CNN.com. Headline: Taiwan fires warning shots at unidentified drone near island. Oh, the drones. Here we go again. We just covered the drones on the last episode. And now the Taiwanese are firing at them. Taiwanese soldiers on Tuesday fired flares at 3 unidentified drones that flew near Kinmen County, an offshore grouping of islands, before firing warning shots at one drone, which re-entered the area above one of the islands, according to the Kinmen Defense Command. All 3 drones later flew back toward the Chinese mainland, according to the Defense Command. Kinmen County is governed by the self-ruling island of Taiwan. Ooh, CNN. This is really important to keep in mind here. CNN and many mainstream outlets that were obviously heavily leaning left were very protective of China. And Trump called it the China virus and stuff. Oh, so racist. You're so racist. Well, it must defend China because a lot of the economic ties, the partnerships with China and the U.S. were established, big time by Obama during his period, but it continued on. And so there are financial reasons for that, but also, the education-wise, you have the Confucius Institute that infiltrated a huge list of universities and education centers here in the U.S., giving them basically Chinese propaganda as a way to educate young Americans. And the switch here happening of a lot of mainstream outlets divorcing from China is very interesting to watch, because I think it's part of the pendulum swinging from left to right, from liberal to conservative in this country in terms of political popularity or majority. And we'll see that probably with the midterms, at least to some regard. I'm sure there's going to be some rigging going on that could sway or change things up. But I think this China thing is really important to pay attention to, at least in the media, how they're using their language to talk about China. Kinmen County governed by self-ruling island of Taiwan. CNN would have never said this a year or two ago. They would have never referenced Taiwan as the self-ruling island. And again, I think what's happening here is a divorce. U.S. and China were in bed together. Oh, we like each other so much, And China really just ripped off a lot of the U.S. stuff. I mean, intellectual property. China came in here, bought a bunch of land. I think there was a spot in Texas where only Chinese investors can invest in this plot of land and housing that was built there. Things like that. And I know locally where I'm from in Orange County, a lot of rich Chinese people moved into certain neighborhoods where, when I was a kid, it was more sort of diverse, whatever. But then just a certain segment of these kind of rich neighborhoods became all Chinese. So, I mean, stuff like that was happening for a long time, for decades. But now, because of the pendulum swinging the other way, what's happening here, China and the U.S. are having a divorce, and China is embedded with Putin. China leaving America for the new I don't know if you guys remember the story of the Russian, propaganda piece where they showed off all their military tanks and stuff, and they had all these women with, scandally dressed women sitting on top of tanks and stuff like that. Kind of ironic, right? Where U.S. used to be like that. Now Russia is of that ilk, and China's like, U.S., we're done with you. We've leached as much as we can out of you. Let's move on to the next victim, which might be Russia. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting to look at it in that context. And the other story about China locking down the biggest tech, marketplace or something like that because of COVID, because there was 30 people who tested positive or something like that. Very, very bizarre that in that same time period we have Chinese drones flying over the certain, restricted areas in Taiwan, and Taiwan firing at them. Quote, on Tuesday, Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen said during a troop inspection that she had ordered the island's defense ministry to take, quote, necessary and forceful countermeasures as appropriate against what she called Chinese gray zone warfare tactics, including drone harassment. Yeah, I mean, can't have that. We can't have drone harassment. That could be... That's a weird thing, because it's like, I understand, from the Taiwanese perspective, it's like these drones are coming in and harassing us, right? But it could also mean the other way, the Taiwanese firing stuff at them. The Chinese could be like, hey, that's drone harassment. Don't harass our drones. So anyway, quote, we will not give China the pretext to create conflict. We will not provoke disputes, and we will be restrained. Yet, that does not mean we will not counteract, Tsai said. The Chinese government has not yet commented on the incident. However, a spokesperson for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs was asked Monday about previous reports of private drones flying in the area and responded, quote, I have seen the videos too. Chinese drones flying over Chinese territory. What's there to be surprised at? Because, of course, China they always talk about how Taiwan belongs to them. So, yeah, very much so a Ukraine-Russia kind of situation. And this published on September 1st on Reuters, Taiwan shoots down drone for the first time off Chinese coast. Okay, so Taiwanese military for the first time shot down an unidentified civilian drone that entered its airspace near the inlet of Chinese coast on Thursday. So just yesterday. So before they were just shooting at it, now they've actually shot one down. And again, maybe this is part of the heating up of the outbreak of World War III, as Pope Francis talks about. So yeah, just kind of keeping in mind that this is all planned out. This is all, the world's a stage. We know that. We don't know what events could trigger an all-out war worldwide as we think, and I've talked about how we're already kind of in a Cold World War-ish psychological warfare, economic warfare. Those things have never really ended, but it feels like we're approaching the next phase where there is going to be actual physical conflict, because then, much like we saw with Ukraine, right? There's actual physical altercation, buildings being blown up, rockets, launching and everything else. What did that do? Sanctions, right? You can legislate your way into shaping the world. So a similar thing can happen here. And this one is really important because Taiwan, they have a lot of the microchip manufacturing. So who owns all those microchips? Is it the sovereign Taiwan in partnership with the West? Or is it the Chinese property of Taiwan who have their own interests? We will see how it all plays out. But do these segments go by fast? It feels like they go by really fast as I cover this stuff. But I do want to thank some other producers who come in with their talent. So let's do that real quick.
Break.
This is break. Don't just consume the content, but
become the content. Become the content.
Take a break.
Yes, become the content. Help build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk by contributing with your God-given talent. All we ask is that whatever you do is made for the show. And we don't have any audio producer. Oh, no, we do have. Oh, well, we got one. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. We have an audio production today.
Audio production.
And again, if there are more that came in and I didn't get to it, we will get to it on the next episode. Apologies because, running everything solo back here. But Caleb came in with a bunch of stuff here. Thank you, producer Caleb. First up, we have the Jared Kushner, a transhumanist jingle.
My generation is, hopefully with the advances in science, the first generation to live forever, or the last generation that's going to die.
I shall be immortal!
I love that. That is fantastic. I told you, the stars align. I didn't, Caleb didn't know that I was going to talk about little bit, tiny little lizard Satans. But Caleb's jingle here has the little man voice, the little Jared Kushner declaring immortality. It just all aligns. It's the Holy Spirit, folks. I love that this show has that. He also gave us the quote from Jared Kushner, which isolated. Thank you very much.
My generation is, hopefully with the advances in science, the first generation to live forever, or the last generation that's going to die.
Yeah, wow. Okay. All right, buddy. Okay, you're hanging out with crazy people there, Jared Kushner. Thank you very much. He also gave us a... he said, I believe you guys mentioned you can use a Pelosi jingle, so here are a few ISOs, compilations, use them at your disposal. Thank you very much, Caleb. Let's try this first one of Pelosi Science.
Science is the answer. Science, 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 and science.
Oh, gosh. I don't think I would be curious if somebody could walk up to Miss Pelosi and just ask her, what is science? Can you define science for me? That would be good. All right. And then we also have Trump Crazy Pelosi.
That crazy Nancy, she is crazy.
He doesn't know what he's talking about once again.
She's lost it.
I like the splice up. It really just adds a certain flavor to it. And also, of course, Pelosi chocolate.
Chocolate is good for your teeth. I like it better than anything else. I enjoy it. Chocolatey.
Chocolate is good for your teeth. Oh, where's the science on that, Nancy? And what kind of chocolate are you talking about? Are you talking about like pure cocoa chocolate? Or are you talking about what? What kind of chocolate? Chocolate ice cream? Because I don't think chocolate ice cream is good for your teeth. All right. Oh, you know what? I should have played the Jared Kushner jingle as part of the transhumanist thing earlier, but yeah. All right. Thank you very much to Caleb. Appreciate the ISOs and jingles. It really does help in terms of creating the library of jingos. That's a combination between jinkos and jingles put together. Jingles. And, at a certain point, I'd like to make all of that public, all of this stuff that we've made. And it's just a huge library of ISOs and jingles. Just make it public. Let people use it for whatever, use they want. But yeah, it's going to take some time to organize all that. All right, we also got some art.
One art, please.
And we start with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And as usual, content, folks. Content. The breaks aren't just to meander about, our producers. They're providing actual content. And today, we have a haiku to go with it. Russian oil execs beware. A Dame Ebony Blaze haiku. Chairman of Lukoil, Ravil Maganov, has died at the hospital. Had heart attack, then jumped from hospital window. Antidepressants. Lukoil confirmed death. Said Maganov died after serious illness. 4 oil execs dead in mysterious manners. What's going on? And, this is a portrait of Ravel. Ravel, spelled R-A-V-I-L, Ravil, maybe. Maganoff, the chairman of Lukoil, who, the story goes, he jumped out of a window or something in the hospital. This is CBS News. Top Russian oil exec dies after falling from hospital window. Yeah, okay. Maganoff, 67, committed suicide, according to TASS, which is the Russian propaganda arm. And, there's a photo of this guy here in the article, and going back to Ali's art, just uncanny, exact portrait of this man who passed. And, you can see every wrinkle on his face when he was still alive, and also very clearly lizard people eyes. Which it reminds me, by the way, just as a side note, going back to the tiny lizard people theme of today's show, you think about the Nephilim and how the sons of God and, the daughters of men, and then, it was sort of an abomination, and they were born as giants. They became giants. It's almost like little tiny Satan was jealous, and, because they're so little, he made revenge. Are you going to make humans God? Well, I'll mess that up by mating with the human women and then creating super giants. So you know how I feel. A little teeny weeny miniature Satan. Anyway, just a side note I forgot to mention earlier. But yes, very, very well done, Dame Ali. And thank you for the haiku that explains so succinctly what's going on. Or just asks the question what's going on. There's a bunch of oil execs over in Russia. I mean, if I was an oil exec, I would just resign and be like, I'm out. Just let me sail off into the sunset, Putin. Don't need your goons on my back giving me heart attacks and forcing me to jump out windows. So there you go. Thank you very much, Dame Ali of the Skillet Nation. Next up, we have Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And here's a note here, Sir Dove does. Peace. For this week's NWO Fantasy League update, we've got some promotional artwork of one of the most feared players in the league, captain of the SS Raiders, George S. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you. Yes, George S. I'm not going to say his full name. You know who we're talking about. And as the NWO Fantasy League style permits or brings from Sir Dove, you have a picture of a kind of a blurred background of a football stadium, and you got the NWO Fantasy League logo on the top right there, and up close is George S. in his football gear. Let me see. Let's see what number is he. You can't tell what number he's wearing. Very typical. I almost said his name. You know who I'm talking about. George, we can say his name, Soros. He's apparently a captain, 4-star. He's on the SS Raiders, who has the Raiders logo, except the pirate guy has derpy eyes and a tongue sticking out. And instead of the little Raiders thing on his helmet, he's got the SS. He's also got the derpy NFL logo. And again, you can't tell what number he is. I'm going to guess he's number 5 because 5 looks kind of like an S, and we're talking about George S. That's my guess there. And of course, you zoom into his face, and real sneaky there. Sneaky looking George. He's got the headband with the Nike logo in the shape of a whip. And yeah, there you go. George S. New World Order Fantasy League. Which, by the way, I don't know the progress. I'm not fully in tune with all of it, but I know it's taking place. People are still signing up. Just go to nwofl.com.
It is a New World Order Fantasy League. They're all 100% eugenics, transhumanist lizards that control everything. They hate you.
Yeah, they hate you. Okay, thank you very much, Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia. We're going to move on here to Mark A. Mark A brings us a little comic, a 4-celled image, each with things going on. Let me describe for you as best as I can what is going on. This is titled, No Man Knows the Hour. And on the top left here, it's got King Jesus, I'm assuming this is Jesus, on the clouds. And he's kind of peering over the clouds, looking down on Earth. And there's a speech bubble there. It says, "Oh, my, Dad, do you see what they're doing?" And then in the next cell, it's got thenews.com, breaking, Kids Mullet Champ 2022. It's got a couple headshots of the winner of the Kids Mullet competition, which, by the way, I don't know who won that thing, but, man, we were talking about how, this is going to usher in the end. But in that vein here, you have Jesus looking over the clouds saying, "Oh, look what they're doing." And you see the Kids Mullet Champ. And then on the third cell there, Jesus is jumping on his white horse. And speech bubble, "Get ready to blow that trumpet. I have to get down there." And then from the throne of God, from Yahweh himself, "Wait!" Next cell. This is again from the temple. It gets worse. Well done, Mark A. Very well done. He has a note that says, "Shalom, boys. Hope yins like this one, Mark A." Yep, thank you. We totally love it. This is exactly what we were talking about, but also your own little twist. That we were just joking that the Kids Mullet competition is going to unleash the apocalypse, but at the same time, God stopping Jesus from coming down on the white horse, saying, "It gets worse." Good stuff. I'm sure this has happened multiple times. Jesus is like, "Oh, that must be it," and God says, "Nope, gets worse." To the point where in the scriptures it actually talks about the souls who are under the throne of God, begging God, like, "Hey, God, when are we going to stop this bloodshed?" But very much so. Appreciate it, Mark A. Thank you. All right, we got a couple of microfiction today.
Microfiction.
Microfiction. And our first one comes from Runk Smash. Collapsing his origami hands, Derwin slips out of the cuffs while the agents argue. Leaping away, he lands on one of the robot cows. The agents give chase, but the design of the cow's internal fan and waste reclamation system render that a mess. Oh yeah, be careful. Be careful of those internal systems of the cow there. It can really, really create a mess. Thank you very much, Wrong Smash. We also have another microfiction from Irene. I don't know if Irene has a stage name or a producer name. I forget. I'm sorry if I didn't remember. But producer Irene, as we will call you for this episode, had a note here, and it is a microfiction, but it is accompanied by a couple pieces of art as well. So this is like the whole package going on here. So let me read a little bit from the note, and then I'll do the actual microfiction. She says, "Hello, Basil and Gons. I had a Canary Cry themed dream a few nights ago. If played right, I guess it could be sort of like a microfiction. So without further ado." Basil bursts into a room shouting frantically, "Let's go, Gons! I've discovered an ancient artifact which, according to the legend, is a key to a great treasure. Someone has traced it down for us. We have to go now!" Basil leads the way to a submarine, and they dive deep into the ocean and find a submerged castle. Surprisingly, there's a pocket of breathable air in it. Basil and Gons must continue their journey on foot now. In one of the chambers, they discover a bedroom with the skeleton remains of a dead king. Upon closer inspection, they discover an ornate cast iron spear. lost my place. Give me 1 second. Showed the image of this gruesome scene with the iron spear. Okay. Yes. Oh my gosh. Where is it? I completely lost my place. This microfiction is too long, Irene. Okay. Yes. They discover a skeleton remain of a dead king. Upon closer inspection, they discover an ornate cast iron spear lodged in the dead king's side, hinting at the cause of his demise. But the strangest part is that there is a pair of modern sunglasses covering presumably empty eye sockets. Then, this is it, says Basil. The spear is the key. Legend has it that whoever removes it from the final place must battle the undead king, as he will come back to life. As our heroes lean in yet closer, they could almost swear that through the tint of the dark glasses, they could see two eyes burning with light. However, as they took off the shades, there was nothing there. The end. Okay, well, my screw-up at least allowed for a great timing of the end there. Fun how that works. The note continues. This is a dream you had? This is crazy, Irene. The note continues. I woke up. So far, no sequel yet. To be fair, I have fallen asleep a few times listening to the Canary Cry radio. Unintentionally, of course. Mistakes were made. Lessons were learned. And she has a list here. Do listen to Canary Cry Radio and Canary Cry News Talk. Don't fall asleep while at it. Side effects may include, but not limited to, extensive use of words like supposedly, allegedly, and there you go. We do say that a lot. Finding yourself singing, humming People Zoo and other Canary-themed songs out loud in public. Yeah, it's a good one. Every time you come across a fun fact, you can hear it in your head in Basil's voice. You can hear the Canarian jingles in your head as you read the news. Yeah, that's a good one, too. Have an urge to bring up some kind of conspiracy every time you have a conversation with friends, family. Fantastic. Coming up with random rhymes in your head, such as, leave a message and review, lest Moon Fist come to face near you. Well, that's a good one. I like that. And my circumstances keep changing, and with the doom of Twitch channel, I find it harder to find time to listen to CCNT. On that note, special thanks to the Clippies. The older Canary Cry Radio episodes, however, are generally shorter. I've been discovering the origins of the wormicorn and other gems. I've included a brief sketch of my dream. We don't have to share. Oh, I love sharing this. There's also, yes, a sketch of a Basil on the left here with a speech bubble that says, so long, Ganj, you're flying solo. My people need me. As he takes off in his rocket pack there. It uses so much oxygen, you know. On the desk there, you got little Monty hanging over there, as well as the unicorn image in the back, and there's a photo of a burning man in the back, indicating where he's going to be. And then on the right side of the image is me, giving out a big sigh. My son climbing a bookshelf in the back. My daughter interrupting. Little Cody, the dog, thinking about food and bothering the show. This is very accurate, by the way, of the situation we are in. I'm going to share this with my wife so that she understands the situation. I'm glad you're able to sketch this out for us, Irene. Appreciate it. I just felt like words fell a bit short. In fact, you don't have to read the microfiction. Oh, we love reading the microfiction. So anyway, thank you very much, Irene. This was fun. And so dream turned to microfiction. You know, we do live in your ear holes a lot. And so if you do fall asleep, warning, you may dream about us. You may dream that we are there somehow, having a conversation with you or amongst ourselves. So one warning about podcasting. You could become dream friends. You got to pay attention to what podcasts you fall asleep to. Thank you very much, Irene, and thank you to all the producers who came in with their talent. Really appreciate it, and yeah, certainly fun to go through some of this stuff. As again, it's building the culture behind the community, and it'd be interesting to hear if we have any more dreams, especially that's the other thing that's weird. The theme for Burning Man, Irene, was waking dreams. And we had our own little waking dream microfiction. Fascinating. Especially, with the spear and the under the ocean and And wow, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. We might have to revisit this once Basil gets back so we can analyze perhaps something that was taking place over at the Burn. And we can connect some more dots. So thank you very much to all the producers who came in with their talent. We are going to move on to the final segment of today's episode.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And it pertains to Antarctica.
So a new discovery.
Antarctica.
Penguins.
And AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's right. Antarctica and AI. Reuters.com. Fact-check photos allegedly from Admiral Byrd's Antarctic expedition were generated by artificial intelligence. Now, this article is close to a month old, but man, I just found it, and it's very fascinating. Social media users are sharing images, which they claim show a top-secret photograph from Admiral Byrd's Antarctic expedition, where traces of a lost ancient civilization can be seen. However, the images were created by artificial intelligence and do not show historic photographs of the expedition. Says who? Reuters? You? Who do you trust, Reuters or the all-seeing AI? And it goes into an example here, which is a Facebook post, but I found the images on a Medium article. And yeah, it's interesting. It's a photo made, this first one anyway, of an old sort of 20s, 30s style black and white. You can kind of see the splotches of those old photos. And it's got a clear pyramid, like a black shaped pyramid, and then sort of a fuzzy version of humans sort of lurking about these pyramids. And yeah, certainly it would be an image of Admiral Byrd and crew, discovering something. And there's another photo in the same article, a similar picture, black and white, but this time it's a discovery of some kind of obelisk. And all the humanoid images, the people images, DALL-E, which is the AI that created these images, they don't give details. So it's kind of an outline of the people. It's they don't have hands per se. They all seem to have like swords or something, which is kind of weird. One guy has what looks kind of like a pirate hat. The other two are in hoods, so that's kind of weird. But that's the second one. And then there's like an aerial view of what looks like some kind of ancient site with more of these sort of pillars that are allegedly scattered about, and just a few more here that are similar in nature. So yeah, these are the images that were allegedly shared by people on social media saying that, hey, the Admiral Byrd thing is true. For example, back to Reuters here, the text in one post reads, quote, "This is why no one is allowed to visit Antarctica and why every government in the world signed a treaty together to conspire and hide the truth from the mass population. Below, you see top-secret lost photos from Admiral Byrd's Antarctic expedition. Traces of a lost ancient advanced civilization could be seen in the photos." Which, again, very interesting, like the story we covered from Pop Mechanics earlier about how there might be an ancient civilization that could cause climate change. Then now it's climate change that is causing us to re-examine, quote-unquote, and quote-unquote, discover Antarctica. It's cyclical, folks. Then they go into some more comments here on Reuters, and they go into the history of Admiral Byrd, who went on an Antarctic expedition. And then it says this: "There is no evidence that Byrd discovered a secret civilization in his expeditions as claimed in the posts." Other than some of his writings were pretty explicit about some weird stuff going on. They continue. However, the expeditions have fueled conspiracy theories. One example is the Hollow Earth theory, which believes that the center of the Earth houses a secret civilization. Okay. All right. Okay. Videos of Admiral Byrd's Antarctic expedition can be seen. They got a bunch of photographs and images from Getty and stuff. Only official outlets allowed. The article says, thanks to a source who wishes to remain nameless, we had the opportunity to view a large and compelling image collection of never-before-seen and highly top-secret photos from Byrd's many missions. They seem to depict concrete proof of an entire... Whoa, police. no firefighter. They seem to depict concrete proof of an entire forgotten civilization, its architecture, artifacts, technologies, and much more that once called Antarctica their home. The note ends on an article. The note at the end of the article reads, quote, certain elements of these images may have been enhanced or generated by AI for quality purposes. Oh, okay. Reuters contact. Okay, so the article links to a book called Mysterious Antarctica, published by Lost Books in Canada. Reuters contacted Lost Books, receiving a response from Tim Boucher, who said he created the images and that they were generated by DALL-E 2 from OpenAI, as can be seen by the watermark on the bottom corner, right corner of the images. We know about DALL-E. DALL-E is an AI system that creates realistic images and art from a description in natural language. Boucher said he chose to leave the watermarks on the images because he said the aim of the Medium article, the book and the images, is satirical and educational. Oh, now you tell us, Boucher. Now you explain that you're being satirical. Quote, I want people to question their beliefs. Oh, do you now? Is that what you want to do? Examine their assumptions and take stock of the changing media landscape and how these new technologies can be used for harm as well as good. Oh, yeah, easy to say after the fact, huh? Boucher said, quote, I want to show people what's possible and what to watch out for. What? Okay. Observation. Every time OpenAI, deepfake, any of this technology is used, the people who have done it have the exact same message. I want to show what's possible. Have you noticed that? You know, people who have been following the show probably recognize this. That is the thing they always say. Well, we were just satirical, you know, the whole Tom Cruise lookalike thing. Oh, we just wanted to show what's possible. Very strange. Very strange thing. The text in the ebook is around 50% AI generated. Oh, good. The book is even 50% AI generated. Man, you know, this is ridiculous. The AI is taking over. All right. Reuters verdict. False. The images were created using AI and do not show the discovery of a secret civilization in Antarctica. Okay. Thanks, Reuters. Appreciate the fact that the guy who made them said that he was using it as satire and using it as a way to you know, show what's possible. And yeah, I mean, what else? What else, really? What else do you need? Given the fact that we are opening up ourselves into digital virtual realms, people aren't going to be able to decipher what's real and what's not real anymore unless they appeal to authority. I think that's the whole point with the fake news and, you know, fact checking and all that kind of stuff. It's meant to condition the world to only accept certain things being presented by the elite factions through very explicit channels of communication and media, you know, Reuters being one of those things. And, you know, this is very useful in the crafting of that perspective, because, you know, if you believe that there are ancient civilizations, somewhere before time, or, you know, some ancient past or whatever, as Pop Mechanics was talking about earlier, then it's very easy to create something like this as a psychological operation to get people who believe that to start sharing the photo. See, look, and then pull the rug out from under them and say, no, see, it's satirical. It was just an AI generated photo, and therefore there is no ancient civilization. So you can discredit anybody who believes that if they take the bait, which clearly some people did. So I just think it's fascinating, the warfare, the cold warfare going on, the psychological warfare, the media warfare, propaganda, all those things. This is meant to shape the way you accept reality. And this is a great example of that. So we have to always pay attention to everything, whether it be a Biden speech where they make him look like a total dictator president. Well, I forgot the name of the president from Hunger Games. What is it? President Ice? President Snow? Snow, that's what it was. Which, by the way, has its own weird Antarctica thing. You know? Snow. Cold. All that stuff, right? So there you go. I think that's a show. I got my daughter in my ear. And I hope you guys enjoy the artwork from today. I had a azimuth map with a little target, location symbol with a little tiny Satan, little Satan, and his cubes, his oxygen cubes going out into, or at least towards the firmament. Fun stuff. Okay, time to start wrapping the show here, and yes.
To make sure that everything.
Okay, yes, we will clean up everything. Yeah, we got a lot of cleaning up to do before.
You even need to bring your computer.
Okay, well, I don't know about that. I don't think I'm bringing the computer. Okay. Yes, we want to thank our producers all the producers, of course, but especially those who contribute with their time, and to thank the first people who contribute with their time. It's the Clippies.
Flippy. Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Thank you very much to Emsworth, Faye Liverin, and Epsilon for coming in and doing the clips, or clipping the show. It really does help out, and we appreciate it very, very much. Also, timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Those Clippies can't do what they do without the timestampers. It really does help. And for episode number 529, Jackie Yu was the one who did the timestamps. Thank you, Jackie Yu. And we appreciate it. It really does make a difference in... yes, I understand. It really does help out in putting the show together. So thank you very much. We also would like to thank our social media people.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers, for continuing to post things on social media, especially on TikTok. Or no, I'm not TikTok. I'm sorry, Instagram. Right now, she does that fairly frequently. So thank you very much to Dame Miss G of the OV and the Deep Rivers. Oh, we also have reviews. Okay, I don't recall which review we last read, but I think we did get 5. Maybe, you know what? I need Basil to have some joy in life when he returns from his sand-covered experience out in the desert. So keep him coming, and hopefully we will have just a huge list, maybe like 10 or something, that we'll knock out next week. I was going to read it, but just, I'm out of time today. So we appreciate the ones who did come in. And as LX Protocol, Sir LX Protocol V2 mentioned during the break earlier, you can just grab a friend, a family's iPhone, and leave a review that way. But tell us that you did that, so we know. That way we know that the message, the transmission is getting out there. The transmission! As Alex Jones used to always say. Thank you very much. All right, we also have the Meetups.
Canary Cry Meetup.
A couple of meetups coming up this weekend. Go to canarycrymeetups.com to find out more. We have the Denton, Texas meetup. The Schnizzle Dizzles Denton, Texas meetup that's tomorrow. Contact atombomb101@gmail.com for more information on that. We also have Bend, Oregon on Sunday. That's September 4th. Central Oregon meetup. Set to meet at noon at the Podski Food Cart Lot in Bend, Oregon. Contact GabeGarcia87@gmail.com to attend that one. And then the one I need to update is the... Oh boy, where was it? Going through all the tabs. So many tabs. Drowning in tabs. Here we go. The Canary Cry Campout. That'll be on September 17th at 3:30 p.m. at the Sierra Pines Resort in Sierra City, California. And that's going to be hosted by Mama for Yah and Modern Day Bible Study. And you can email mdbsmission@gmail.com, and I will promptly update that flyer on the Meetups page right after we sign off here. And what else do we have? We have more coming up in September and October and November. Things are planned. So, oh man, I'm really struggling to find all the tabs. I've been trying to find a plugin that labels the tabs on my browser by color, and there are some that do that, but for some reason none of it works for me. So I don't know. I'll get to it eventually. But yep, there you go. Go to canarycrymeetups.com. Look at all the meetups that are taking place near you, and if there's not one happening near you, then you be the point man or woman. You can choose a location, figure out a date and time, make a flyer, and we'll help you promote it. Go to canarycrymeetups.com. See you at the meetup.
This is fun!
And other than that, share the show. Share it with friends. Share it with family. We try to provide as many ways for you to do that, but it's important to get it out there, especially if there's something that we said or something that we deconstructed in the news that might edify some of your friends who may disagree with you in worldview or politics or ancient civilizations, even biblically. There's different levels here, and we try to cover it all. And so, share it with friends and family, and that's a great way to get the word out. Word of mouth is still the most obvious and robust way to learn about the show. But you can do other things too. You can build a cube. You can build a little cube that allows you to breathe air in any situation. Oxygen producing cube, much like the Moxie on Mars. And you can create that cube, and you can go, it's a really oxygen-stricken location, like, I don't know, the entrance into the Hollow Earth. You go there, you start going down, you find some indigenous people who have lived there for thousands of years and have only seen the Byrd man about 100 years ago, but haven't seen anything since. And you can bring this cube for them and say, hey, you guys only live like 30 years because you don't have enough oxygen down here. This cube will provide you with all of the oxygen to make you live longer and better lives. And then these indigenous inner earthers will take it and they will build a shrine for you. And you can say, no, do not worship me. Only worship the one above. And then they'll say, oh, well, how do we do that? And then once they turn on the cube, the Canary Cry Radio and Canary Cry News Talk start blasting as part of the way to get oxygen into their lungs for them to live longer. Clearly, Basil's the good one with the rants and the rabbit hole rants. I am not good at that. But hey, you can do that, or you don't have to do that. You can just go right up to your friends, family, right up to their cage and shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Ask Noah. That's right. What was Ultron referencing there? Maybe the biblical flood, but maybe a lot more. Yeah, it's always been there. They've been talking. They've known the realities of the Bible for a very long time. They just don't want you to know about it from a grounded biblical perspective. They want you to find out about it through Hollywood films and superheroes and transhumans and robots and AI and all that kind of stuff. Just mythology, modern mythology. All right. Thank you, everybody, for another episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We have breached the 530th episode. We will be almost a third of the way to 600 next. I guess it'll be the week after, because I will be taking Monday off, Labor Day. I will rest, spend time with family, as I encourage all of you to do. Spend time with family, spend time with loved ones, because you never know what's going to happen. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you to all the producers for your time, talent, and treasure. Thank you very much, Marty B. and Billabong Bill for your generosity executive producers for episode 530. And we shall see you again next Wednesday, the 7th of September. Have an awesome day, awesome weekend. And until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
PNAS. I cannot believe I just said that out loud. Proceedings.
National Academy of Sciences, PNAS.
Oh my gosh, Adam Carolla got me again. All right.
Anatomical reference.
Is that fake? It looks real. The whole thing is real. There's no other satire.
The website, pnas.org. I mean, we're looking at the
PNAS.
I've ordered more pills. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
By the way, pray for us. Our AC unit is broken.
You little rascal. I am so hot.
You're so hot.
I'm... God. I am so hot.
So hot. The heavens are yours. The earth also is yours. The world and all that is in it. You have founded them. He caused the east wind to blow in the heavens, and by his power he led out the south wind. The hairs of his head were white, like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze, refined in a furnace. And his voice was like the roar of many waters.
I love the Great Reset.
Made
is the United States of America, for God's sake.
We're all gonna die.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.